Hey there, my name is Riley Cohn. This is my class project final presentation for CSE 335. So, my inspiration behind this application was to be a social media application for college students. So, my goal was to make the application for individual colleges that allows users with a variety of interests to have a forum to speak their opinions and meet other like-minded individuals. A lot of my inspiration came from Reddit. If you're familiar with it, it breaks down into what's called subreddits, pretty much subcategories of posts. So posts are broken down into such things like music, movies, sports, etc. So I took that similar approach, which we'll get into more in a minute. So the big picture here, this is the storyboard of my entire application, which is pretty complex, a lot of segues here and everywhere. So we're going to go ahead and focus on the most important aspects of it rather than going through each individual view controller. So here's the basic structure of my application. So we'll go ahead and look at the top first. So right here on the left we have the menu, and there's many different buttons on here. We'll get into more later, but we'll start off with the party map. It's my favorite part of the application. So you click the View My Party Map button, and it brings you to a list of parties in your area, and with the name of the party and location of each party. It also allows you to add a new party, but when you click on a party in the table view, it brings you to this page over here. It shows you the name of the party, the full address of the party, and the location of the party on a map view, which is very useful for finding the location. So the other part of this menu down here is this table view of what I call classes, which are pretty much categories. So if you go ahead and click on a class, such as General, it brings you to a page right here with all the posts that users have posted in that class. So right here we're looking at the General category. So these are all the posts that people have posted in the General category. So if we go ahead and click on this one, for example, we go ahead and go to this view, which shows the entire post, who posted it, as well as comments. There's also the function to comment on a post right here and save post. So the save post saves the data as core data onto the user's phone so they can view it at a later time. There's also the add post here, which posts the user's post in the class that they're currently viewing. So we'll get more into detail here. We're going to have a quick demo of the application. We're going to go through some of the most important functionalities. So first you see there's the login screen. So if you already have a login, you go ahead and log in. If you're new, you click register now, and it allows you to register with a valid email and password. But we're going to go ahead and log in to a test account just to show all the functions that already exist. There we go. So when you first log in, you're going to be brought to the general page, which you're going to see all the posts that we saw earlier from that screenshot for all the posts in general. So let's go ahead and look at the menu first. We're going to go in the same order we did when we looked at screenshots. We'll start off with the View the Party Map. So you click View the Party Map, you get the list of parties that are currently going on at ASU. So let's go ahead and look at Grocery Store Party. So the grocery store party, you can see that map zoom in is finding the location of the grocery store party and displaying it for you on the map view. So this is the grocery store party is located at the Safeway on Broadway and Rule, as you can see right here on the map view. It's also scrollable. You can look around the map. Shows the name of the party on the map. So we're also allowed to add parties. So let's say we want to add a party at Thai Basil. So we go ahead and search Thai Basil, and it's going to do the local search on things that match your search description here and bring up all the local results. So this is the one we're looking for, is the one on Rule Road. So you go ahead and click it, and the map view is going to have you verify the location to make sure that that was the one you meant, and that is the one we meant, the Thai Basil on Rule Road. So we're going to go ahead and type Thai Party. So we add it, and you can see that it was added to the list of parties that other users are now able to view and interact with. So it shows the location, the name of the party, and as well as location on the map. So that's it for the parties. So let's go ahead and look at posts now. So here's a sample post here, the one we looked at earlier. So it has the full entire post, the author of the post, as well as some comments from other users. As you remember, I was logged in as test@mail.com, so I was the one that made this post. And then we have a couple posts from other users here with their emails right below. And so we'll go ahead and do a test comment here to show that comments are actually being uploaded. And here we go. You can see test comment show up right here with the comments. And we can also save this post, and it saves it to core data, and we'll be able to look at that from the menu. So let's make a test post too to show that. Here, let's do it in a different category though. Let's go ahead and make a post in CSE 335. We'll just say hey, just because. So here we go. So now CSE 335, we can see hey, author me. So we'll go ahead and go back. Let's look at our favorited posts now. So if you remember, I just favorited this post a minute ago, and here it is, saved onto the user's phone. So if they were to not have internet, they'd still be able to come here and look at this post, since they saved it onto their device as core data. So I didn't save the comments because in a realistic situation, you wouldn't save all the comments because that would take up way too much space on the phone if there were hundreds or thousands of comments on a post. So we saved all the pertinent information for that post. And our last function here is to be able to save a profile picture. And these are actually saved on the Firebase server, so that if I was able to implement a user page, they'd be able to see that from other users. Right now it's just saving for a particular user, but that's all right. It looks great. So that's it for the demo. Let's go ahead and go back to the presentation. So here's the class diagram. I'm just going to give the nice brief rundown here. I'm not going to go through every single property because you don't want to hear that. So here's the main view controller. That's the one that you saw that has the posts on it with the class name on top, such as general, with all the posts underneath. So it has the table, it has a new post button, and the link to the menu button. So it has all your basic table view delegate functions, as well as functions that bring you to the new post and menu. So we'll go over to the menu now. So from the menu, you saw there was a profile picture, there was a table with all the classes, and the close menu button. And then there's the basic table view functions, prepare for segue, etc. in there. So let's say they click the favorites button. So we have a view controller for that, obviously. And it has all the basic table view functions, as well as the core data functions to fetch the results of posts that were saved to the user's core data, such that the entity name was favorite post, which you can see right here. And so each post has a post ID, which was the auto-generated child from Firebase, which we'll get into a little bit more later when we talk about Firebase, with the body and the author and the time of the post. And also from the menu view controller, remember there was the party map view controller. So the party map has obviously the array of parties that it will get from the function getParties, which queries the Firebase data and brings back parties. And a party is an object in my project that has a party name, an address, and a reference to the Firebase database. And each party has a function called toAnyObject because Firebase likes to save and bring back functions as dictionaries. So we made a function that returns it as a dictionary. So we have the new party view controller, which has the search bar that you saw, the live updating, which is done by the delegate method of the search bar. The search bar text did change, so every time the text does change in there, the table view is updated. And the last one for parties is the map that is shown when you are clicking on a party that shows the name of the party, the address, and the map. So we have the load map function, which calls all the map related delegates. So the other part of it is we have the create post view controller and create comment view controller. So those are the main things there. So if you create post, obviously it creates a post, which is an object in my project, with a post ID, body, author, time of post, which is all stored in Firebase. The post ID is an auto-generated ID by Firebase. And so post, as you can see here, the author is of type user, which is also an object, which has a username, a password, an email, and a profile picture. And so you saw one of the functions earlier here was the change profile pic. You saw that I updated the user's profile picture. And the last object we got here is a comment. And so a comment is also stored in Firebase with a comment ID, the post ID of the post that the comment is related to, a user that posted it, as well as the time of comment. So here's the MVC diagram. I'm not going to go too into detail here, but we have the three main things. We have the controller, which looks up the data from the server of the information we need for whatever particular view we happen to be looking at. So the view reacts to the user taps, displays the relevant posts, and displays comments for a post when that time comes. And it also updates table views and shows the map when called for. And then finally we have the model. So we have two different big models here. We have the core data as well as the data stored on Firebase, which are the users, the posts, and the comments. So those are all retrieved at runtime and stored into objects in my project. And then they are brought to the controller, which are then eventually brought to the view. So it's a nice MVC architecture you can see here. So here's an outline of my Firebase data structures. So we have our project name here as our final project, and two main outer categories, which are the parties and the posts. So we'll go ahead and start at parties. So each party has an auto-generated ID. As you can see, these here are IDs. And then if we go ahead and look at a certain party, we have the address of the party and the party name. So it's very easy to pull that information from Firebase. And when we look at posts, we go down one level and we can see all the categories that we have, the classes even. We have ASU football, CSE 335, computer science, etc. So if we go down and we click on a post, so these are auto-generated ID for post. We have the post body, the ID, and the username. And then if a user comments on a post, it's saved into the same ID of the auto-generated one here. So here's an example comment for that post, which is as the body, the comments ID, the post ID, able to reference right here, as well as the user who posted it. So that's the main outline of my database structure. So according to the internet, Firebase is very scalable. I was not able to test that since I don't have very many users. I was just making up sample data. But if I were able to expand this product to colleges across the country or world even, I think Firebase would be able to scale pretty well up into a certain point where I would eventually have to migrate over to a stronger system. And then one of the limitations I came across for Firebase, because it was my first time using it, was writing queries is, I think, much more difficult than SQL queries. And I think that SQL also has more power, such as digging down deeper into tables and combining tables and whatnot, whereas Firebase is simple JSON retrieval, so you don't have as much power. But I was able to perform most of the functionalities that I wanted for my final project, which is good. It just took a little more work sometimes, but I think it was a great learning experience to learn Firebase rather than just using SQL again. So here's a couple lessons I learned here was the importance of MVC architecture and using of objects. What bring in parties, posts, and comments, having an object for those made it much easier to handle all my organizational problems. And another big thing I learned was that documentation is actually my friend. I always used to be scared of it because it's big walls of text and it's super technical, but Apple does a good job at laying it all out in layman's terms and letting you know what delegates you need and whatnot for certain objects. And then I also learned that iOS development is fun. Most projects we do in school is console-based and just text output, but I like to be able to see my final project and actually be able to hold it in my hand on my actual physical phone. So I thought that was great. So I have two suggestions for the class. My first one, actually I only have one suggestion, but I think this class has huge potential for learning how to work on a team to develop a project. So perhaps have some team-based labs or assignments to get people used to working on a team, because that's how the real world's going to be, and we don't get much experience of that in school. Other than that, I thought everything was a good mix. We had a lot of good lectures as well as hands-on activities and lab days. Other than that, thank you for watching.